Hey everyone, welcome back to Olinsi Traveling. Now let me ask you something. Have you ever pulled into a rest area expecting something basic, and then suddenly realized it was actually one of the nicest stops you've seen in a long time? That's exactly what happened here. Today we are in Aurora, Oregon, checking out the French Prairie rest area northbound along I-5. And honestly, this place surprised me. If you're new here, this channel is all about real life on the road, truck stops, rest areas, travel locations, and honest reviews from a driver's perspective. No fake hype, no polished commercial version. Just the real experience drivers and travelers actually care about. And right away, one thing stands out about this place. The parking layout. This rest area has a huge multi-level parking setup that feels completely different from most places on the highway. You don't usually expect a rest area to feel organized, spacious, and actually relaxing. But this one kind of does. So today we're gonna check everything. Truck parking, car parking, outdoor areas, night atmosphere, sleeping conditions, and what makes this stop feel unique. Because honestly, some stops help you rest, and some stops just help you survive the night. Let's see which one this is. Alright, we've got to start with the parking because this is the main thing people notice here. And honestly, this parking layout is impressive. You don't see many rest areas built like this. The way the parking levels are designed makes the whole place feel more open and organized. Instead of one flat crowded lot with trucks packed everywhere, this setup spreads traffic out better and gives the area a cleaner feel. And when you first pull in, you immediately notice there's more breathing room. Now during busy times, especially evenings, it still fills up, because this is I-5 and truck traffic never really stops. But compared to many packed truck stops, this place feels way less stressful. Backing in is easier, visibility is better, and overall movement through the lot feels smoother. Another thing I noticed is how scenic the area feels. You've got trees, open sky, and Oregon greenery around you instead of just concrete and noise. Have you ever found a rest area that actually felt peaceful? That's rare. And honestly, this place gives off more of a calm travel stop vibe instead of a rush truck stop atmosphere. Now let's talk about nighttime and sleeping here. Because honestly, that's the real test of any parking area. Once the sun goes down, everything changes. And this place actually feels calmer than many highway stops. You still hear trucks idling, air brakes, engines starting up, that never completely disappears. But because the parking area is spread out so well, the noise doesn't feel as concentrated. That makes a big difference when you're trying to sleep. Another thing that helps is the atmosphere. The trees, lighting, and layout make the place feel less chaotic. And mentally, that actually helps drivers relax. Because after driving all day, stress adds up. Now of course, no rest area is perfect. You still have trucks moving around through the night, headlights passing by, people arriving late. But compared to many crowded fuel stops, this place feels surprisingly peaceful. And honestly, sometimes peace and quiet matter more than food or fuel. Do you sleep better at rest areas or truck stops? Now let's step outside for a minute, because this is one of the nicest outdoor rest areas I've seen in a while. You've got walking space, trees, fresh air, and an overall atmosphere that feels more natural than commercial. And after sitting in a truck for hours, just being able to walk around somewhere pleasant matters a lot. You can stretch, clear your head, and mentally reset before getting back on the road. That's something many busy truck stops completely lose. At some locations, you walk outside and it's just noise, fuel smell, and traffic everywhere. But here, the environment feels calmer. And honestly, Oregon in general has a different vibe when it comes to roadside stops. More greenery, More open space, more relaxing surroundings. What's the most beautiful rest area you've ever stopped at? Now let's really talk about the nighttime experience here. Because honestly, night is when you truly understand what kind of stop you're dealing with. During the day, almost every rest area looks decent. Cars coming in, people walking around, sunlight everywhere. But once it gets dark, that's when the real atmosphere shows up. And this place changes a lot at night, in a good way. You pull in after hours of driving, maybe it's late, maybe you've been watching your clock all day trying to find a safe place to stop. And suddenly you see all these parking levels lit up. The lights reflecting off the trucks, the quiet Oregon trees around the lot, the cool night air. Honestly, it gives off a completely different feeling than a crowded truck stop. And drivers notice that right away. Now, one thing about road life that people outside trucking don't always understand is this. Sometimes the hardest part of the day isn't driving. It's trying to shut your brain off after driving. Because even when the truck stops moving, your mind is still going. You're thinking about traffic, delivery times, weather, tomorrow's route, everything. And places with constant noise and chaos make that even harder. I remember talking to another driver one night at a rest area, not too different from this one. Older guy, probably been driving longer than I've been alive. And he said something simple that stuck with me. He said, "A good parking spot can change your whole next day." And honestly, he was right. Because if you sleep badly, wake up stressed, deal with noise all night, the next day already starts wrong. Now here at French Prairie, the atmosphere feels calmer than most places. You still hear trucks idling in the distance, air brakes, doors closing, a reefer unit humming somewhere nearby. That stuff never completely disappears. But because the parking is spread out across levels, the noise feels softer somehow, less compressed. And another thing, drivers tend to settle in differently at quieter places like this. At busy truck stops, everybody's rushing. Fuel lanes packed, people moving constantly, lights everywhere. But at a rest area like this, once drivers park, things slow down. You see people taking short walks, checking their trucks, standing outside for a minute just breathing fresh air before climbing into the sleeper. And honestly, those quiet moments become part of road life. I remember one winter night years ago. I had been driving through heavy rain almost the entire day. Visibility terrible. Traffic stressful. Just one of those exhausting drives. And by the time I found parking, I didn't even care about food anymore. I just wanted silence. And I remember stepping out of the truck late at night. Everything was wet, cold air moving through the trees, trucks parked quietly under the lights. And for the first time, all day, things felt calm. Drivers remember moments like that. Because road life isn't only about driving. It's also about finding small moments where your stress level finally drops. And places like this can actually help with that. Now another thing I like here at night is visibility. The lighting is good without feeling too harsh. You can still see around the lot clearly, walk safely, and keep awareness of what's happening nearby. That matters. Especially when you're parking overnight. Let me ask you something. Do you prefer sleeping at loud truck stops with more activity? Or quieter rest areas like this? Because every driver has their own preference. Some people sleep better with noise around them. Others want as much peace as possible. Me personally, after a long day, places like this feel easier on the mind. And honestly, that mental side of trucking doesn't get talked about enough. People think trucking is only about driving long hours. But experienced drivers know. Rest matters just as much as miles. Because tomorrow morning comes fast. And if you wake up exhausted, sore, and stressed, that road gets a whole lot longer. So overall, nighttime here at French Prairie feels calm, organized, and surprisingly relaxing for such a busy interstate route. Not perfect, Not silent, but definitely one of the more peaceful overnight stops you'll find along I-5. Now let's get into some really interesting facts about this place and the area around it. Because honestly, this rest area has a lot more character than people might expect. Most drivers pull into places like this thinking it's just another quick stop on the highway. But once you slow down and really look around, you realize there's actually a story behind places like this. First of all, this stop sits right along Interstate 5, one of the most important highways on the entire West Coast. And if you drive trucks long enough, you already know how important I-5 really is. This highway runs through California, Oregon, and Washington, connecting major cities, ports, warehouses, farms, and distribution centers. So every single day, thousands of trucks move through this route carrying food, electronics, building materials, fuel, pretty much everything people use in everyday life. And what's interesting is that rest areas like this quietly become part of that entire system. They're like small checkpoints in the non-stop movement of America. Drivers stop here to rest, reset, eat, sleep, check routes, or just take a breath before the next stretch of highway. And honestly, most people outside trucking never think about that side of road life. Now another interesting thing about this place is the location itself. Aurora, Oregon sits in an area known for farmland, open countryside, and Pacific Northwest scenery. So compared to rest areas near huge cities, this place feels calmer and more natural. You've got trees, greenery, fresh air, and space around you instead of endless concrete. And honestly, after driving through heavy traffic all day, places with nature around them hit differently. You feel it right away. Even stepping outside the truck for 5 minutes feels better when the environment is calm. Another thing that makes this stop unique is the multi-level parking design. You don't see that very often at rest areas. Most places are just one large flat lot packed with vehicles. But here, the parking levels separate traffic better and make the whole place feel more organized. And psychologically, that actually changes the experience. Crowded parking lots increase stress. Drivers feel rushed, boxed in, constantly watching traffic around them. But when parking is spread out with better visibility and spacing, the entire stop feels calmer. And honestly, that matters more than people think. Now here's something a lot of people don't realize. Truck drivers remember certain parking lots for years. Not because of luxury, but because of how a place made them feel after a hard day. Some stops become famous for noise, chaos, or impossible parking. Others become known as places where drivers could finally relax. And over time, drivers share those places with each other. That's part of trucking culture. You hear things like, "That stop's always packed," or, "That rest area is quiet after midnight." Drivers trade information constantly. And honestly, those small details become survival knowledge on the road. Another interesting fact about Oregon in general is how seriously many roadside areas take cleanliness and outdoor design. Compared to some states, Oregon rest areas often feel more connected to the surrounding environment. You'll notice walking paths, landscaping, trees, picnic areas. Things designed to make the stop feel less industrial. Because honestly, road fatigue is real. After sitting behind the wheel for 8, 9, 10 hours, your brain starts getting tired even if your body feels okay. That's why stepping outside somewhere peaceful actually helps. Now here's another thing people outside trucking rarely think about. Rest areas are kind of like temporary communities. For one night, dozens or hundreds of strangers all stop in the same place. Truck drivers, families, travelers, RV owners, people heading somewhere important. Everybody's on a different journey. But for a few hours, they all share the same stop. And if you sit quietly at night and really watch a place like this, you start noticing those little moments. Drivers checking tires with flashlights. Families walking dogs. People drinking coffee at midnight trying to stay awake. It's actually kind of fascinating. And honestly, road life teaches you something important. Every vehicle around you has a story behind it. Some owns heading home. Some owns starting a new job. Some owns been driving all night trying to make delivery on time. Trucking gives you a strange perspective on people and movement. Now another interesting thing about this route is weather. The Pacific Northwest can change fast. Rain moves in quickly, fog can show up out of nowhere, and nighttime driving conditions shift constantly. That makes reliable stopping areas even more important. Because when weather turns bad, stress levels rise fast. And finding a safe place to stop suddenly becomes a huge priority. I remember one driver telling me he once drove through Oregon rain for almost 7 straight hours. Visibility terrible. Wipers non-stop. Traffic spraying water everywhere. And he said the moment he finally found a calm rest area, it felt like winning the lottery. That's road life. Sometimes small things become big things. A quiet parking spot. A clean restroom. A peaceful night. Those little comforts matter when you spend your life moving. Now here's another interesting fact. Many experienced drivers actually prefer rest areas like this over giant truck stops sometimes. Why? Because truck stops can become overwhelming. Constant noise, fuel lanes, crowds, bright lights, people everywhere. And after enough years on the road, some drivers start looking for simpler places where they can just rest quietly. That's why peaceful rest areas develop loyal followings among drivers. People remember them. And honestly, French Prairie feels like one of those places drivers remember. Not because it's flashy, not because it's luxurious, but because it feels calmer than most interstate stops. And in trucking, calm is valuable. Now one final thing I always think about at places like this is how connected trucking is to the entire country. Every truck parked here is moving something important somewhere. Food, medicine, furniture, supplies. And while most people sleep at night, drivers are still out here moving America forward mile by mile. That's something worth respecting. Because road life isn't easy. It's long hours, weather, schedules, traffic fatigue. But it's also freedom, independence, and seeing places most people never experience. And sometimes, in the middle of all that movement, you find a stop like this. A quiet place under the lights where drivers finally slow down for a few hours before the next day begins. And honestly, that's what makes places like French Prairie memorable. Now on to facilities. Washrooms here are generally clean and maintained well. And honestly, for a public rest area, this place does a good job. You can tell there's regular maintenance happening. Lighting inside is decent, everything feels organized, and the overall environment feels safe. Now of course, busy hours still create wear and tear. But overall, it feels much cleaner than many highway rest areas. And when you stop somewhere late at night, cleanliness matters more than people think. Because nobody wants to deal with dirty facilities after a long day. So overall, the French Prairie Rest Area northbound in Aurora, Oregon is honestly one of the more impressive rest areas I've seen. The huge multi-level parking setup, peaceful atmosphere, and outdoor environment make it stand out immediately. Now it's still a rest area, not a full truck stop. But if your goal is parking, rest, quiet atmosphere, and a better overnight experience, this place does a really solid job. Let me know in the comments. Would you stop here overnight? And what's the best rest area you've ever seen on the road? Don't forget to like, subscribe to Olinsi Traveling, and hit that bell. Thanks for riding along. And I'll see you on the road.